Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Eileen, and this is, for those listening on Blog Talk Radio, uh, Medicine or Healing House Radio with Dr. Eileen. And for those on YouTube, welcome to Medicine Walk. And it is so great to be here with you guys and to share this time with you because, well, it's been a busy week. As some of you may know, I was sworn in as the president of the Universal Church of the Master, and that is very exciting for me. It is a big new step. It's something that allows me to really step up to a level of giving and being of service that I hadn't really ever been a part of at that level. And it makes me a little nervous, but I am excited about it. So whatever good wishes that you guys may have for me, I will firmly accept. It'll be fun until it's not, but that's okay, because then it'll be fun again. Anyway, today's walk is actually kind of special to me because it is based and inspired by a conversation that I had this morning. And while I will not call you out, I know that you're listening in, and I know that you have an amazing, wonderful, humble heart. And I already got permission to kind of discuss the nature of the conversation. So the reason that I call today's episode, If They Can Love, They Are Human, is because of, like I said, a wonderful conversation that I had with someone who I did a lot of work with, and she went through some really, really hard times, and kind of together, I helped her navigate some of those waters, and she learned to develop a toolkit for how she, responds to things and how she chooses to look at the world. And so, we spent actually a couple of years working together, and then she moved out of the area. And this morning, she called me up, and she was so excited that someone who she had helped many years before, someone who she kind of showed the way to, someone who she provided for. And, she was, the woman was homeless, and this person went and took her grocery shopping and got her some food. And she helped her out. She got her some clothes, and she got her into being able to get some help in the system. And the woman wrote to her years and years later, letting her know that she had a job, that she had lost a bunch of weight and she was jogging, and that she had a home, and that she had a car and insurance, and that she even had a little dog, and all these things that had come into her life because one person noticed her and acknowledged her as a person, even when, most people would not have even acknowledged her. Most people probably would have ignored, her just because she was homeless. And, there's a certain thing about when people are in a certain way, they become invisible. And I think that that's very sad, because we are pack animals. We are communal creatures. And the problem is that when people become disenfranchised, when people become disconnected, then in a way they become invisible. And I've talked to a lot of homeless people and spent time with them. And there was an amazing man who I spent a couple of hours just, we were walking along, and it was in Santa Cruz, and we went from the boardwalk all the way to Natural Bridges and back. And he came up to me because he said that I was a pigeon shaman, because I happened to be holding a pigeon. Long story short, a pigeon got hit in the road. It was okay, but it couldn't fly. So I was walking along holding it, and he came up to me and said, "You're the pigeon shaman." And I looked at him and I said, "Okay." And so we ended up walking, and I invited him to walk with me and to talk with me. And through the next few hours that we spent together, he said, worse than the cold, worse than the hunger, worse than being out in the elements and fearing for his life, was the fact that he became invisible, that people no longer acknowledged him. It was like they either looked through him or looked past him. And so for someone to see that person, that woman, who others would probably have walked by, to say, hey, let me get you some food. And to hear years later that you were the one who turned that person's life around. And this is not the first person that she has done this for. And I just want to say, I so admire this person, because she sees something in people that most people miss, because they look at what's on the surface. They look at the first impression. And it's not always because of oh, well, I don't want to deal with that person, because we get wrapped up in our own lives. We get wrapped up in what we're experiencing and our issues. And it doesn't say that, those issues aren't important. They are. And what happens, it blinds us in a way to what's going on in the bigger world. If you could have the most beautiful painting in the world, but if your nose is right up against it, you can't see it. It's invisible. All you see is this tiny little bit that's right there, and that tiny little one spot. But you need to step back and see the bigger picture. And when I was talking to her this morning, and we were talking about and how we're here to help, and she said that dehumanizing that happens to people who may be dirty, they may have some, like, an issue with reality, they may be talking to themselves, but she said that she always believed that if someone could love, that they're human. And if they're human, that means that they need to be reached out to, that they're worthwhile, that they are worth it. They are worthy of your attention. They are worthy of compassion. And the beauty of that phrase, if they can love, they're human, in its simplicity, and yet it says so much. It speaks to the heart that she comes from, and it speaks to that core spirit place. I know a lot of people who, they will go to conferences and they'll spend a lot on learning things in spirituality, and that's wonderful. That is really great to do. And what is the ultimate purpose of all that? Isn't the ultimate, to me, the ultimate purpose of learning all of that stuff and all that spirituality and all that connection is to share it. It's about whose life can I make better based on this. And, oh, we have Terry. Hi, Terry. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful time. And for anybody who decides, you can log in to the live chat while we're on a live stream. You can click into chat. And if you have a question or a comment, please feel free. It'll just mean that I'll have to put on my glasses. But really is about all of it being about being in service. People say, it's like, oh, I want to be in service. I want to be in service. It's like, well, then don't want to be in service. Be in service. It doesn't require really anything to smile at someone, to acknowledge them. If you feel called, that, maybe you ask them, is there something I can do for you? Can I get you, if they're sitting outside of a fast food place, can you go in and get them something to eat and just bring it out to them? Or even, something warm to drink. And it doesn't mean that, you have to make this total lifetime commitment. And if you don't feel safe in a situation, you honor that. You make sure that you feel safe. If there is a point where, it's like, well, I'm not certain, because it should come from that place of being okay with it. And there are so many people that are going through so much. You know, it doesn't have to be somebody homeless. Maybe it's somebody, maybe it's an elderly neighbor who you know lives alone. And maybe you knock on their door and, you know, just say, you know, hi, I'm your neighbor. I just wanted to make sure that you were okay. You know, maybe the weather's really cold. You know, maybe right at that moment, they're not feeling well and they could use somebody, you know, who'd be willing to run to the store and, you know, maybe pick up some cold medicine or something, or to pick them up some tea. It used to be a time where, you know, people knew their neighbors. There was a time when people interacted in community together because they lived near each other. And it's something that kind of has transitioned out. It's not quite so prevalent. Well, first off, a lot of people don't stay in the same neighborhood for decades and decades and decades. There's, you know, you live in one place and then either because of jobs or because of finances or whatever, you know, you may move from one place to another. But there still is that opportunity to connect as a community. You know, I live up in Boulder Creek, up in the mountains, and I know, I mean, just like without even thinking, that if I need something, if I need somebody to let my dog out, or if all of my power goes off. One of my neighbors, her power went out, and her neighbor across the road had a generator, and he hooked up to a plug to it and ran the plug over to her house. So there was still stuff she could run. Those are the things that matter. Those are the things that are important. I mean, you could spend $1,000 learning amazing spiritual, energetic techniques and Zen meditation and all kinds of stuff. And you could also take some of that money and support a homeless shelter or support a cause that you believe in, or I don't know, you know, it's just there's all kinds of opportunities out there for us to recognize the humanity. And when she, you know, I was talking to her and she said that her boyfriend, you know, you shouldn't talk to them. She said, if I ask a homeless person to pray for me, they will. And she went up to someone and, you know, said, hey, how you doing? And, you know, they acknowledged her back. And she asked for them to pray for her. And the man said he would. And he had nothing else to give, but he could give a prayer. And I've had similar situations. I've had situations where, you know, if I'm talking to someone, maybe I'm sitting at a bus station or, you know, I'm just at the store or coming out of the store and I see somebody and, you know, and if I have some spare change in my pocket, yeah, I'll give it. And sometimes if I feel called, I'll ask them to pray for me. I'll ask them to, you know, put in a good thought for me that I'm going through something. And every single time, the answer's always been yes. And they almost seem surprised that somebody would need them for something or that somebody would ask something of them. As simple as a good thought or as simple as a prayer. That is the core of humanity. We get so caught up sometimes, and I do too. I get caught up in things sometimes. And it is great to be reminded. This morning, man, I had a bunch of stuff on my mind and a lot of stuff that, you know, I'm kind of running through my head and really feeling kind of weighed down. My energy was weighed down because the stuff that I needed to do was you know, kind of weighing on me. Not something I really wanted to go into, really wanted to take on. And then my friend calls me. And immediately it put everything into perspective. It's that piece of we don't have to do this, we get to. We don't have to take care of one another. We get to take care of one another because that means that there's somebody there who takes care of us. There's somebody there who says, wow, you know, that person did something really cool. And maybe I can do it too. Maybe I can spread that for someone else. And the most beautiful was when she responded to her, she told her that the best way she could thank her was to do it for somebody else, to see someone else who was going through a tough time, to see someone else who was going through, a difficulty, and to acknowledge them, to talk to them, to see them. And I mean, you want to talk about the ultimate in pay it forward. You want to talk about that giving of being a part, because we all gain when we share something. We all gain when any one of us has a chance to help somebody else move forward. Because honestly, that's what it's about. That's what that's what all the spirituality is about. That's what all of the all that we learn is about. Hold on just a second. My computer did an odd thing. There we are. Okay. So consider the possibility that there's something you can do to help someone. That maybe a few years down the line, someone will be sending you a letter saying, I would not be here if I would not have the life I have. I didn't think of the life that I have. But you showed me that it was possible. The phrase that I use as a teacher, that I embrace, is I light a way, I show a way, then I get out of the way so you find your way. And that's what my friend did. She showed someone a way, and that way saved that person's life. We never know how the smallest act of kindness can impact someone. So consider an act of kindness. If you're someone who is a reverend or a minister or a spiritualist, I applaud you. And hey, stay in there and keep learning and keep growing. And at the same time, you don't have to have all the answers to help somebody else find their own. You can still be working on all your stuff and at the same time help somebody else along the way to have hope, to find that peace within themselves that maybe they didn't realize they had. Show them that someone cares. It could be helping at a soup kitchen. It could be just listening to someone. It could be making eye contact with someone just so that they know, and you say, hello, just so they know that they're there, that they're seen, that they haven't been forgotten or lost. We all feel lost sometimes. And one of the best things to happen when we do is to have someone acknowledge us, to take the time to say, hey, do you need something? Is there something I can get for you? It all comes back. It all moves forward. And it all allows us to be more than we ever thought we could be. So, thank you. Thank you for joining me today. And, hello, no one is here. Viralis.tv. Well, I'm here. I think I'm here. And Terry's here. So thank you. And if you got something out of this, then you can like, you can subscribe, you can comment. I do answer the comments. You can share this video. You can go back through, look at some of the other videos. And if you feel that this is worthwhile, you can also sponsor me on Patreon. And the link information is in the description. So we'll be back next week to share this space together, to share this walk together. because frankly, I can't think of anyone I'd rather share this time with than you. So thank you. And as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. I love you. Bye bye.